this was some of the testing. What you're looking at a cage built around me here. These are heaters that simulated the radiation from the sun, the heat that would come into the suit from the sun, and we were testing the suit here and the backpack that I have on to see that it would provide adequate cooling when you're outside in the bright sunlight. And this is like this photographer over here at the bottom of this huge vacuum chamber. So this whole thing is in a vacuum chamber, which is the biggest vacuum chamber, I think, today in the world. It's still the biggest space chamber in the world. And this test, I often tell people, was much more dangerous than going outside in space. And you might wonder, why would this be more dangerous than actually being in space? The answer is because you have all of the potential for failure of the suit or the backpack, but you also have the potential for failure of the chamber. In space, you never have a failure of the vacuum system. You're supposed to laugh at that. I don't think you're understanding English. I don't have a problem. So this is the lunar module, and the front porch of the lunar module. I think you saw this over the display over in the other building, except that here on the front porch, the hatch is here, the front porch, we have some fiberglass forms that I would put my feet in, and then I could let go with my hands and just float around, but not count on my feet to hold me to the lunar module. And Sergej, here you see the probe on the front one as well. And the lunar module, you may remember, comes in two parts. The upper portion we call the ascent module, and that's the only part that comes back off the moon. The descent module, the lower part with the legs, stays on the moon when we land it. And we use that as a launch platform for the ascent stage. This is a picture taken from the lunar module of the command module. Oop, wrong way there. Okay, so this is the command module, and Dave Scott was still over here, and Jim McDivitt and I were in the lunar module. After we went out, we flew in Earth orbit for 10 days, not to the moon, but we tested the lunar module for everything, all of the rendezvous, separation, and docking, and then we went back 100 miles, 150 kilometers away, and came back and rendezvoused for to test that capability, as if we came up from the lunar surface. Here was the lunar module just before we went out for the rendezvous. And when we came back, you see only the ascent stage. The descent stage is missing, so we tested that separation as well. This was a picture taken by Jim McDivitt from inside the lunar module. This is me on the outside, so Jim took this picture through the front window of the lunar module. And this was a picture that I took on the outside of Dave Scott. Again, this is the lunar module and the handrail that goes up the front and over the top. And this is the command and service module. And Dave Scott is hanging out the doorway or the hatch of the command module. I was completely outside with the backpack. It was the first time that we had flown in space, done a spacewalk where we used a tether only. You can't see it here, but I had a rope that held me to the lunar module, but there was no life support. An umbilical provides life support. And up until this EVA, we had always had an umbilical. And Dave Scott is on an umbilical to the command module. But I was outside completely independent with the backpack, and it was the first time that we had tested the backpack. But of course, we needed, and this is the backpack over here on the back of this module. So this was the first time, this flight was the first time that we had used this equipment back here, which made the astronaut essentially a spaceship. I mean, you have everything, communications, life support, cooling, everything independent. And the only thing I had keeping me to the spacecraft was a thin tether, a rope. Okay, that's another picture, and actually you can see, if you look closely, this is a piece of the tether. It's the only piece that you can see there. And after 10 days in space, we came back, and everything worked well. The parachutes, thank God. And after we ended up in the ocean, we didn't sink. That was another big success. And we got back to the aircraft carrier and out of the helicopter. And that was what the spacecraft looks like after it comes back through the atmosphere with all of the heat shield, very dark now and charred. But that keeps you very comfortable inside during the reentry. I mean, you're like an asteroid coming in into the Earth's atmosphere, but you're nice and comfortable inside. And I think that's my presentation. I think we'll turn it over to Sergej now.
Hello, everybody. It's a very interesting story from Russell about his flight Apollo 9, and it's very remarkable mission. As to me, I fly to ISS some years ago, almost 11 years ago. I fly to ISS. It was Expedition 5, and I'm from Moscow, from Russia. I'm an engineer, and our expedition was commander was Valery Kozan from Russia, Peggy Whitson, flight engineer from USA, and me, flight engineer Sergej Trestschow. And I suggest you make some travel to space around Earth, and after landing to the same. It's our commander Valery Kozan, Peggy Whitson, and me. Some hours before launch, now we go to bus, and we are going to start to space from Cape Canaveral. Our ship was shuttle Atlantis, shuttle Endeavour. Some minutes, and we start to space. I think you know, only about 9 minutes it takes to space. some operation. Our ship go to space station. And now we open with space station. We very glad all was is okay. And after meeting, we need to walk on space station, and of course we need to do some exercises because we need to have a good form. Every day we need to exercises in treadmill for 5-6 kilometers every day. We run and do some exercises. For example, like this one. The ISS is big station and consists of different module, service module, laboratory, module for EVA, and we made different experiments inside the station. And of course, we have free time and we have lunch together. It's our food. We have different food because our mission was international and food was international. Russian food, American, and we tasted. It's our prepared to EVA. We have some EVA to space. We are going to our site, and now you will see we are outside station. We are working about 6 hours. We made different operation outside station, and now we have some travel inside station, and it is laboratory, very big model, USA model. It's подивиться, prepare some experiments. our family.
It's our speed.
It was our 5th expedition, but now 36th expedition. And the station became very big, about 400 tons. Now its station consists of Europe module Columbus and plus Japanese module, ATV. It's our toilet. Ring. It is a sleeping place, sleeping bag. It's our gym room. It's our spacecraft, Soyuz. He flies with us every time. We made some experiments, medical experiments, physical experiments, technical experiments, experiments for study pupils. It's very simple, but interesting experiments. Like this one, and for example, like this one, can you play football, for example, in space? Or for example, like Valery try to running. Made some celebrate. And now we prepare to get visitors by shuttle SPS 112, and we are ready to get space shuttle.
Nice, die aber fix. Boah, da kommt gerade so angefühlt. Neue Weltmeisterschaft im Schnellverstauen.
Visitors go to us and bring us new support. New equipment. docking new equipment, we need to do. And this different visitors by Soyuz. It was international crew from Berlin, from Belgium, and two people from Russia. During 8 days we worked together, the same, and after that we undocking and landing to Earth. And now we see STS 130 fly to us and change crew and with the shuttle landing us to Earth. Each expedition bring to ISS new equipment, and by manipulator we built station. It's manipulator from Canadian arm. Our expedition is finished, and we have some tradition like this one. And we say goodbye to our friends. You see, I'm talking space shuttle from ISS, and we are ready to go to Earth, to landing. Jim Weatherby, that's our commander space shuttle, and we are. But the weather was very bad, and we need to wait approximately 5 days on orbit to landing. It's our city at night. Water like
baby is sleeping. We get an update to radium and our spacecraft, space shuttles, ready to radium. Our expedition was successful, landing was successful, and we congratulations each other. And thank you very much for attention.
So, vielen Dank an unsere beiden Astronauten. Thank you very much for the presentations. Ihr habt
Clean the shower off, of course, and if you use warm water, you're finally done and you bring the shower down, and the impression you have immediately is that you need a new shower. Immediately, because you're all sweaty and hot from doing all of this, and that was the last shower we ever did in space. After that, with the handkerchief in the water. So,
What do you do when there's someone ill at the station?
what do you do if there's someone? You don't get sick. No, but we always, even from the beginning of the space program, we always have training in emergency medical issues, and this has varied from one time to another in the program, but there have also been doctors that have flown. Luckily, at least I don't think we've ever had any serious sickness in space, but there is always a capability, not when you go to the moon, but in Earth orbit anyway, to come down in a real emergency. If you have to come down, if you have a serious emergency, you can always get down within about 24 hours, something like that. But I think each crew has training